from. This is a reconvened meeting of our February 27, 2024 Waukegan Public School Board of Education meeting, which was interrupted due to the tornado warning. I'd now like roll call, please.
Mr. McBride.
Yes.
Ms. Fabian.
Present.
Ms. Gonzalez. Mr. Riddle. Ms. Hannah.
Yes.
Ms. Lensing. President Ewing.
Here, we do have a quorum. I do expect other board members to be joining any minute. But what we're going to do is we were still in our opportunity for public comment. Randy Sabecki was the next name on the list. You were in the middle of your comments. There were 45 seconds left. We're going to take the clock back to a minute, and then if you want to pick up there, sir.
All right, two parts. You got to go back and watch the other half. So then my other thing I wanted to talk about tonight is FOIAs. I put in a FOIA on 1/29, and I still have gotten no information on that FOIA. I got a letter for a 5-day extension. Then I got another letter after that saying that they have some of it. Could they leave it open on a continuous basis until they get all the information? All this information has been passed and voted on, and the money spent by this board, what I was asking for. So how the information is not available, I don't know. But still, over a month now, and I have not got one piece of paperwork from my FOIA, which is, again, in violation of state law, and I will be filing a complaint for it. Because we keep hearing it, Mr. Ewan, time after time again. What's going on with the FOIAs? We're not getting them. And we're just getting letters after letters after letters, and they're still not giving us the information.
Thank you, Mr. Sabecki. Next name on the list was Averill Gordon. Do not see Dr. Gordon. If he makes himself available by the end of the comments, we will recognize him. Final name on the list is Mr. Rayon Edwards.
Good evening, board, superintendent, community. I'm confused about a lot of things, and I think it's time for this board to really clarify, what is a partnership? What do that look like as it relates to you guys? And I want to make this very clear, and I'm gonna keep standing on this because in the black community, they hits me in the head and they say that's why we can't never get ahead because I do stuff like this. Well, I call it out when I don't think it's right. I want to make sure that when we're partnering with anybody, if we cannot hire a convicted felon, we have no business partnering at all. I get this because we throwing around diversity, inclusion, and equity. We throwing it around. We just, that's just a hot topic. But again, as I'm out here doing this work, I see everybody come up to this podium and talk about what they're doing in my community, but I don't see them. And this, I'm doing it behind the scenes. It just ain't cutting it no more. Because our kids is getting shot on the front line, not behind the scenes. I'm watching all of these mentorship groups, but I'm not seeing them out here mentoring to my babies. They're not doing it, y'all. And so I encourage a lot of y'all to come out here and see for yourself and stop just listening to them when they come up here to this podium. Make them show you. We got over 15, 20,000 kids in this community, so you can go get 20 kids and you doing something? 20 kids and you think you deserve $1 million? I don't want this district to be about the politics of things because it's already disgusting enough out there. How we helping our friends and we putting them in certain positions and, it's disgusting, y'all. And what I'm saying to this board is it's starting to be so disrespectful that it is done and y'all don't think we see it or understand it. It's disrespectful when I'm in these other spaces and I see it. And y'all all off in the mix. Don't tell me you're not a politician. Because if you're an elected official, you are a politician. Whether you want to call yourself that or not. And we didn't elect you to do what's best for you or your friends or your comrades. We elected you to do what's best for this community as a whole, even when it's uncomfortable. I need y'all to step up for real because we're in a different time. We in uncharted waters right now, just in case y'all didn't know. Just over the weekend, about 8 shootings. But you ain't gonna see them in the newspaper though. Where's all my mentorship groups at? Because I'm damn sure on these scenes and I ain't got a car, but I don't see none of them. And so hell yeah, I'm angry. Because I'm tired of my face being played in. And y'all should be tired too. So come out there and join me. Put your boots on, tie 'em up, and let's get to work. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards. Dr. Gordon. All right, seeing as Dr. Gordon is no longer here, if we can get the agenda back up. Please let the record reflect 6:08. Board Member Lindsay is joining the meeting. All right, we keep scrolling. So, recognition. So the consent agenda, these items have been placed here. These items should be non-controversial and/or previously discussed. Any board member can request that any of these items be voted on separately for any reason. If you'd like me to vote on any of these items separately, please just give me the letter number. So 10 and the letter, not number, but the letter.
Okay.
So is that 10P you want voted on separate, Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
Can we include 10N in that?
So separate out P and N. Any other letters?
And also 10A.
The frontline growth subscription? Okay.
All right, so we want to approve items 10, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. Scroll down.
I thought I started.
Yep. J, K, L, M, O, Q, R, and S. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Ms. Fabian. Do we have a second? Second by Mr. McBride. Any comments, questions on the motion?
We wait.
Correct.
till the
So
ones-
we'll take the roll
okay.
call. These are the ones
Yeah.
that are on the consent agenda, and then the other ones we'll take individually. Roll call vote.
Mr. McBride.
Yes.
Ms. Fabian.
Yes.
Ms. Hannah.
Yes.
Ms. Lensing.
Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes. Item approved. Motion carried. I read those into the record. 10B, WHS, new course proposal, introduction to guitar. C, WH, new course proposal, percussion ensemble. D, renewal of No Red Ink for 6th through 12th grade. E, renewal of iQuest science materials for 6th through 8th science. F, renewal of Carnegie Learning textbook and math year licenses for grades 6 through 12. G, renewal of Carnegie Learning on-site professional learnings for grades 6 through 12. H, renewal of Edulastic assessment system for grades 6 through 12. I, Partners for Results contract renewal. J, approval to attend Tyler Connect 2024 in Indianapolis, Indiana. K, renewal of School Mint licenses for school year 24-25. L, Waukegan High School Diverse Learners Teachers Professional Development. M, renewal of Laserfish licenses. O, purchase of touch math materials for low incidence LIDL students. Q, approval for the purchase of 150 Dell Chromebooks for the 101 student program. R, North Elementary Boys and Girls Club. And S, purchase of pre-K through 12 school supplies. Now if we can go back up to item 10A, do we have the motion for renewal of frontline professional growth subscription? Or read the recommended action. I'm sorry, Superintendent.
Oh, I'm sorry. It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education authorize the superintendent or her designee to approve the renewal of Frontline Professional Growth as our district-wide PD platform in the amount of $50,788.79.
Do we have a motion?
Motion. Second.
Second by Ms. Lindsay. Any comments, questions?
Yeah, on this particular item, I'm just wondering, it's for the professional growth for the district. And so, I'm not sure why are we, if we have this, here in the district, why are we continually spending the funds to send the staff around the country for PD?
Ms. Jennifer Rice de los Sanchez is coming to the podium, but Ms. Hannah, what this is a database system, and I know you're going to speak to this, that keeps track of professional development of staff for district purposes, CPDU hours, any type of training that we need. It just keeps record of, like, there's mandated reporting training to see who has taken it. So this is the system that keeps track of it. It doesn't give professional development. It's a database. But Ms. Jennifer Rice de los Sanchez, you can speak more to that. It just houses everything. It's like an auditing purpose thing, so we can go in and see that Ms. Placencia took training A, B, C, and it warehouses all of that. But I'll let.
Okay, and so that satisfies the
Okay.
explanation.
Did I explain it? Did I do a good job?
Yeah. Can I ask a follow-up question?
Yes, of course.
Sorry,
Hi,
does
good
this
evening.
good evening. Does this information directly go to ISB, or do teachers still have to go to ISB's website to upload all of their professional
They would
development?
still
and
go
certificates?
into ISB, and then they upload their information into ISB, which is when it completely aligns to their CPTUs. In our system, what it also enhances is their in-district credit. So there's two different spots, right, that you can get two different things, and then on top of that.
And
Yep.
one more, okay?
Sure.
And with that, what you said, so who is going to be monitoring it here in district?
That's Miss Karen Frank. She is our professional development coordinator. So she is our leader of all of that. She helps with all of the record keeping, and she's right over there. So she does a wonderful job with all of that. She helps the schools manage all their professional development, their individual agendas. It houses and keeps all of the information for teachers they can go back to if they ever want those materials. So it's got a lot of really great features.
Thank you. Roll call vote.
Question.
Mr. McBride. Yes. Ms. Fabian.
Yes.
Ms. Hannah.
Yes.
Ms. Lindsay.
Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes, item approved, motion carries. We are now at N, student outreach professional development request.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education approve the attendance of Oscar Dupois, Carlos Valdez, Jasmine Albaron, Vincent Bell, Brianna Hines, Elsie Tucker, Mercedes Garcia at Restorative Practice, Transforming Traditional Consequences into Meaningful Accountability Professional Development Conference in San Jose, California, from March 6th through the 9th, 2024, at a total cost of $15,142.54.
Do you have a motion? Motion by Mr. McBride,
Second.
second by Ms. Fabian. Any comments or questions on the motion?
I have a quick comment. Unfortunately, I just now am seeing the update to it. So thank you, team, and Mr. Dupuis for updating that information. So I just have a clarifying. I'll save that. Never mind. No question.
You sure? Mm-hmm. Anybody else questions? 'Cause I forget who asked to vote on it separately. Roll call.
I asked to vote on it separately,
Oh,
but I'm
yeah,
just
I
now.
did.
Apologies for that.
No
That's on me.
worries. Roll call.
Mr. McBride.
Yes.
Ms. Fabian.
Yes.
Ms. Hannah.
Yes.
Ms. Lindsay.
Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes, item approved, motion carries. And now we are at P, reimbursement for virtual attendance at meaningful speech course for professionals.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education authorize the superintendent or her designee to approve the reimbursement for speech and language pathologist virtual attendance at the Meaningful Speech Course for Professionals for $2,686.20 to Rebecca Dressendorfer. Got it. Dressendorfer. Did I do good? Got it.
Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Do we have a second?
A second to open discussion.
All right. Questions, comments?
Yeah, now this is, somebody, I need some clarification here, because this is, part of our agency staff that we staff here?
So-
Outside contract?
Good evening, board and community. Not just our contract staff who are employees of the district. We have staff who also are employed by WPS 60. These are our low incidence speech pathologists. This goes for students. Ms. Tressendorfer can explain it better, but speech for our students primarily with autism or developmental disabilities. And the reason we send all is it would be a question of equity. We cannot send part of our staff so that some of our children don't get what they need and some do.
Okay, thank you for that, Dr. Bublitz, but, okay, the agency staff members that are
I'm sorry, Ms. Hannah. Can you use the microphone, please?
The agency staff members that are included in here, they are under contract. Am I correct? They're under contract?
They're Waukegan
Okay,
contract
and so-
employees.
Well, they're contracted.
Yes, as
independently
Waukegan contracted
contracted.
employees, yes.
Yes, agents of the district. However, built into the contract, there should be this type of professional development for the agency, and I don't believe that the school district should be liable for their professional development. I heard what you said about all of them, but they can still go, except not on our dime. And so that's what I am opposed to with this, not the getting of the professional development, but the fact that they're an agency that we have contracted with, and we should not be paying for things that should already be included into their contract.
Can I help with this, Doctor? I just have a couple questions.
Sure.
And Ms. Hannah, I do want to state I recognize your point, so please know I'm not I'm just trying to understand myself and have the public understand. So when we have contracted specialists, this is for, was it speech pathologists or what speech
Correct.
I thought that's what I thought. So the reason we're contracting is because there is a there's a need nationally hard to fill for these
Yes.
vacancies. Am I correct?
Yes,
And without contracting for them, we would have students that do not get their minutes met or their needs met from their IEPs. Am I correct?
Absolutely.
yes.
Thank you, Ms. Hannah. And so if hypothetically Teresa Placencia was a contracted speech pathologist, I could have been contracted in Round Lake, which may have a different delivery approach or may have a different ideology on the pedagogy that they're utilizing with their district. Is that correct?
That is possible.
That is possible, right? So is it my understanding that the reason why I heard what you said, that you want them all to go because it's an equity piece and it's a stream of work that's flowing through the DL department, and so they all have the same understanding so that they can work with kids. Is that your rationale why the district should pay for them so that everyone can be on the same page? I'm just asking.
Yes, it is.
And don't let me put words in your mouth.
No,
just
no.
explain
It's-
it. I just
well,
want for the public to understand.
Beyond a question of equity for the students and all staff, this is a very technical field, and this is a very technical specific training that this opportunity does not come very often. I will not get into the technicalities. If you have questions, Ms. Dressendorfer will do it. But it is unlikely that they would have this specific training on this outside of their, say, master's or doctoral program, or an additional supplementary or complementary training. This is for very specific language and speech needs and language processing, echolalia, for students that have this disability.
And for
And I
Ms. Hannah's point, I think something that we could take away from here, Ms. Hannah, and the board will vote how they want, but when we're going into contracts with outside agencies, maybe a discussion that needs to be put on the table, if there's specific trainings, what would they be willing to pick up versus what is the liability for us to pick up? Like that could be
That's all I'm
conversations
saying.
so I'm in the future, that's something we can look at and talk to when legal's looking at these contracts, maybe build in a cushion in there. But I know that that ship has sailed right now. That's not in this instance, but an idea for the future as we look at this, that could be a way that we could address the concern that is brought by Board Member Hannah. So Ms. Hannah, I just wanted to give you another point of how we could address it.
Yes, and it does, and you know, unfortunately, I know that the we need the services. I know that, and that's not my issue at all, not at all. I know what they do, and my issue is, like I said, they should be able to pay for their own, because I'm sure the contract is pretty hefty already.
I can jump in and kind of address that a little bit more. So, good evening, everybody. Just to address that a little bit more, we did explore with the contract agents that are on this list if they had ability or a personal stipend, because they negotiate their own personal contract with Stepping Stones Group. So there's the overall vendor management contract, and I don't know the ins and outs of that, so I can't help in any questions with that. But each of our speech language pathologists then negotiate with Stepping Stones on their own. And they do not have, because we did ask, they do not have a personal account or stipend for professional development. And so in order for us to provide this to our students, we decided that it would be best for us to go ahead and pay for it and put it on our dime.
And that's fine for this one here, but in the future, and also about the individual contracts. Because see, I thought that if they were agencies, all of them were together, not individual contracts that we are approving.
Well,
Yeah, it's definitely a good idea.
and I saw Miss Fabian's hand, and I saw Miss Lindsay's hand, and I want to clarify, right? Is our contract is with the agency, then they go out and they find their people and they negotiate. So hourly rates, if they were to receive a stipend, whatever their vacation is. So the board is not approving individualized one-off. That's between them and the agency.
That is absolutely correct.
Is we're hiring them as a group, and then it's up to them to manage through the logistics. But I would put on the table for them to consider is that we require professional development. We want them to receive the same professional development of our staff, and that be something that they look at helping us to support. So either covering it in partial, or if you split this up, we know what the per person rate is, right? That's how we're paying for it. And so it is worth the conversation as we look at how we can save resources. But we understand why you made the decision, and I agree, I won't speak for the board, that it was as you said, just equity. If they're going to be in front of our kids, they should understand how we want it done. And agency staff or district employee, we expect them to be providing the same services and receiving the same trainings. We just want help and assistance possibly in sharing the cost of providing that professional development. Ms. Fabian?
No, that's all. I think you guys cleared it up because I just wanted to make sure that it is not a stipulation in the contract that the agency is to provide or a proportion for professional development. I'm in agreement. I think all of our staff need to have the same understanding because pedagogy is different across different districts. And so we want to make sure that, again, it's consistent because our kiddos need that consistency. So I just wanted to clarify that it's not currently in the contract.
Got you.
Thank you.
Ms. Lindsay?
So I just wanted to recap some of the concerns that I got some answers to. So one of the concerns that I had was the timeliness of the reimbursement and why you're getting reimbursed. Because normally if it's under a certain threshold, it doesn't need to come before the board. It's paid through the department. So and from my understanding, it was due to an early bird. So can you tell me more about the early bird special?
Sure. We'd actually been looking at this particular training since September as a means to, so in the speech department, just for some background, we are introducing something called cohorts this year, which are kind of mini professional learning communities. This particular group of people is all within our autism cohort, and they are all SLPs that are working with our low incidence students and in our low incidence classrooms. And this was something that we all felt would put us on the same page. It was interesting to all of us and would help expand our skills. Gestalt language processing is not something that you typically learn in grad school, so even our brand new grads that are coming out, this is something very different. And it is, sorry, feedback, and we're getting a lot out of it. So it is about identifying Gestalt language processors, it is about administering different kinds of assessment with them, and then treatment, and how do we go about doing those sorts of things. So it's a very important topic for us in our department. As far as the timeliness in it, so like I said, we were looking at this since September. In November, it came up as a flash sale, and we were able to then pair the flash sale with a group discount. So instead of $350 per person to attend this training, it was $244 per person to attend this training. And so we thought that we were under the per person capita of 1,650. So we submitted it as a group. So it is my understanding then that the business office said, oh wait, hold on, this is above the per person capita. And so it had to come to the board for approval. But it is for 11 people, and the price was $244 per person.
Okay, and was this course one where you had to take an assessment at the end of self-paced learning?
We will, yes, when we come to the end of the modules.
Okay, so then that it is for the professionals, not the 249 one for like parent students.
Correct.
And others. Okay, that makes me feel a little bit better. Thank you for clarifying that. I guess I just have concerns, and maybe it's not something you can directly answer, why, if this comes up, why it would take so long for the department to get it approved and just go through the regular process instead of using a personal card, right? Because, hold on, Dr. Bublitz, because this happened in November. We're now in March. Right. That is essentially 2, 3, 4 months, 4 months, 3 or 4 months depending on when you purchased it, that you have been out this money. And certain places would charge you interest for that. And so that's why I have a concern, is when we're not having an effective system in place to where we can handle it as a district, and instead our employees are footing or front loading that bill. So do we have an understanding as to why it would take that long for the department to approve the cost and get it submitted?
When did you put it in?
Let me reference my email real quick. I believe we purchased on November 16th.
Okay.
I put in for reimbursement on that very same day. Mm-hmm. It then went through the process of obtaining signatures from all of the relevant staff members who would make this kind of approval, and then it went to the business office for reimbursement. At that time, the business office said, wait, we can't do this. And so the reference was based on the travel advances and reimbursement packet. And if you read that on page 7 is where you get that personal per capita of 1,650. No maximum, no more than 1,650 can be reimbursed per person per event. Since this was a group purchase, we thought that it would be handled within the department. So the fact that it had to go to the board was what was surprising, and that's what took a little bit more time, is to get it to you guys.
Understood. Let me restate my question. So if it had gone through the department, how long for your department head to approve the purchase and make the purchase with a district credit card instead of a personal credit card?
Oh, with a district credit card.
That's my question.
That's a good question.
I can't answer that because I didn't go through this process. Ms. Johnson, my assistant, did. However, it does take some time. It can take some days, 2 days, some days, or weeks. it can take a significant amount of time. I'm not opposed to doing that in a situation like Ms. Dressendorfer had. I think the concern is, according to district policy and procedure, we should have never had to take it to the board. I'm glad we did, because you can see that we're providing stuff directly for our students, but it was never in our minds that there would be barriers to this. And so if you look at, there's various policies, it doesn't meet the threshold for travel.
And that's all been explained.
Yeah,
Sorry
you
to
said
interrupt.
that.
You're saying the same thing.
Okay.
But I think, and Ms. Fabian has brought it up several times, that the system of reimbursement has been an issue in this district.
So I think the reason here, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is because it was a flash sale. To get a approval to use a board credit card, it's not like you can go down to the business office and say, let me get that card, I got to buy something right now. It has to go through different layers of signatures, right? And so that document has to kind of get passed around and each person has to look at it. So I think for this one, it was one of those things like, I have to buy it now. I can't wait. Even if let's say the fastest they got back was 2 days, the sale would have been over. So I think in this instance, it was just a matter of, let's do it now because there's not time. That process, again, it does take some time because of all those layers, and I'm not saying we should remove those layers by no means, because obviously we need to make sure that somebody's looking at, yes, this training is valid, yes, this is all within the threshold, but we want to make sure that somehow, if we've got technology, right, we can streamline that, and that's not for you. I'm sure Ms. Polk back there is working on a way to streamline it. But that's more of a technology piece of how can we make the system a little bit easier to ensure that we are collecting those signatures, that people are looking at all the documentation, but that it's not a physical paper that we're putting on somebody's desk
Hanging out.
and waiting for them
Possibly
to
getting-
come to their office and find it in the stack of things.
Right. Yeah, I think the flash sale, like some places have it for a day, some people have it up for a week. It just depends. We don't need to get into the nitty gritty, but I would like for this district to come up with a more streamlined way so that we don't have these situations where we have district employees waiting to get paid over $1,000. Yeah, right? Sorry. There's one other piece to it. So in my communications, I was, asking, as Ms. Hannah was, regarding like the split between district staff and agency staff, and where the responsibility for the payment was. And it was communicated that some of the agency staff was hoping to become part district staff, so transitioning to be district employees. I don't know what the contract looks like for that, if that's considered a conflict of interest or if that has to be a break in time. I'd have to dive deep to see what that is. But currently we only have 2 job postings out for SLPs, at least last I looked. And so that's of great concern to me, because we are looking to fill positions within this district. I would expect for us to try to phase out of agency work and actually pay district staff. Because when there are staff, we are responsible for evaluating, we are responsible for giving them the professional development, making sure they adhere to all of our policies, report to HR and follow the chain of command. There's all of those components that go with it. So I would just like to see those positions posted and actively recruited. Those are all the comments I have.
Did you want a response to any of that?
Okay.
Nope, those are my expectations.
I think you're looking for the revolving door clause.
Oh. Well, that I said I would do a deeper dive. So if someone does have like the turnaround time for,
The revolving door clause, just,
Yeah.
I think that's what she's asking for, is there
that's a component of
clause
what I'm asking for.
of the contract that states that they have to have a break for a certain time before
Yeah.
they can come work for the district?
So we can come back
There's-
with
We-
that.
Somebody can get
We
back.
have to come back with that. We
Yeah,
don't
and
have
that's,
that right.
yeah.
There's language in the contract that of what we can and cannot do, and agreements that we have. Each company's different.
Right,
But
we understand
Mr.
that.
Clary
We
and I
just
go
want
over these
specific for this
contracts. In
contract.
these cases, they can, based on time we have them, it's a lot. but-
We can bring back the
Perfect,
specifics
thank
for
you.
you.
Thank you. Roll call vote.
Mr. McBride? Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah,
Yes, this time.
Ms. Lindsay,
Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes, item approved, motion carries. We are now at the consent agenda for operations, so items 11A through D. Would any board members like to vote on any of these items separately? All right, do we have a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve the items listed.
Second.
Motion to approve items 11A through D. Any comments, questions on the motion? Roll call.
Mr. McBride,
Yes.
Ms. Fabian,
Yes.
Ms. Hannah,
Yes.
Ms. Lindsay,
Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes, items approved,
Can,
motion
can,
carries, and I'll read them in for the record. But
I just want to make one comment about the furniture.
go ahead, Ms. Hannah.
When we are purchasing furniture, and we are removing furniture, the old furniture out of the schools, I would hope that we are looking at, I know it's a system, I know it's got technicalities, but if the equipment that we're removing and replacing is such that it could be used in maybe in giving it away to some kind of donation, that, you know, to give it to other schools, some private schools, some whatever we do, instead of excuse me, instead of just taking and scrapping all of that stuff. And so hopefully we will look into that and make sure that that is taking place, because, well, I live close to where they leave all of the stuff, and I see it, and I'm amazed that we still can't use it somewhere. But if we can't, I'm sure some other educational institution would be able to do that.
Thank you, Ms. Hannah, and we will, operations team heard you. Next up is, we have purchasing contracts. Is anybody opposed to taking, oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Mr. White, for, the reminder. 11A, approval of purchases of furniture for Abbott Middle School and Glenford Elementary School. B, approval of attendance at National Schools Public Relations Association's 2024 seminar. C, approval of installation of additional video surveillance cameras at Little Fort Elementary School. And D, approval of West Insurance Agency contract renewal. Now, is there anyone who's opposed to taking items 12A and B together?
I do, but I'll be quick about it, I promise.
No worries. So motion to approve item 12A, Amplify CKLA, Kaminos Tier 1 Evidence-Based Literacy Curriculum for K through 5. Do we have a motion? I'll read the recommended action, Superintendent.
It is a recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education authorize the superintendent or her designee to approve Amplify CKLA Caminos Tier 1 curriculum for grades K through 5 in the amount of $2,830,621.32.
I'll second.
I'll make a motion that we accept this recommendation.
Second.
Motion and second. Comments or questions?
I just have a comment. I wanted them separate because a lot of work went into this, and it's phenomenal and exciting for the district. It's going to bring consistency for our teachers. It's going to bring education for our students, and I'm so very excited to say yes to this.
And I would like to say ditto for everything she said. And I'm glad to have been a part of the discussions and so forth. Yes, and so I'm glad to see this move forward.
Thank you both.
Money worth spending.
Awesome. Roll call vote.
Mr. McBride,
Yes.
Ms. Fabian,
Yes.
Ms. Hannah,
Yes.
Ms. Lindsay,
Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes, item approved. Motion carries. Item 12B, approval of secure entry. Yes, it's worth celebrating.
Yes, let's clap. Sorry, this is exciting.
Item 12B, approval of secure entry and admin office renovation at Hyde Park ES bid.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education authorize the superintendent to accept the lowest responsible and responsive bid, base, and alternates for the secure entry admin office renovation at Hyde Park ES, bid from FH Pashan SN Nelson and Associate LLC, located at 5515 North East River Road, Chicago, Illinois 60656, at a cost of $3,176,100. Added to the bid cost is the architect fee payable to STR Partners LLC, located at 350 West Ontario, Suite 200, Chicago, Illinois 60654, at a cost of $262,028.25. Advertisement cost of $95.13. Asbestos abatement estimate at $140,000, and a project contingency of $10,000 of construction costs valued at $317,610, for a total construction project budget not to exceed $3,895,833.38.
I make the motion, yeah.
Motion.
For this capital project.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. Any comment? Second, Mr. McBride. Any comments or questions?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, did I see, okay, project contingency, okay. So there will be, we're not gonna be looking at any change orders, are we?
No, ma'am, not this time. This is a very aggressive project. Needs to be done before school comes back. So at this time, the contractors have been awarded that they will be responsible to work 6 days a week. There will be no overtime except on this project. They need to staff it accordingly in order to meet our aggressive timelines.
Okay,
so
now when
that's
y'all are opening up walls,
yes, ma'am.
y'all don't know if it's a dead body back there. So, and I'm just making the comment.
Asbestos is more likely.
No, but as a construction, okay, and Mr. Moten, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You open up a wall and you never know what's going to be behind.
Oh yeah, old buildings.
And that's what I'm talking about.
No, Ms. Hannah, thank you for the question. Good evening, board, staff, and community. So you're absolutely right. This is a significant project for Hyde Park. Our engineers have done their due diligence, we believe. We do have a very comprehensive agenda item here for you that captures all the costs we believe may be associated, potential costs associated with this project. So we never strive for change orders. Again, this project has been in the works for some time, but we're hopeful we can accomplish this with minimal impact to the base bid.
Can I just add thank you, because I know the office staff is going to be very appreciative. They're like nearly sitting on top of each other to get work done. So thank you for, well, maybe I'll thank you after the work is done, but thank you, LeBaron, for looking out for them.
Well, you know, after speaking with you, my concerns is on our end, we just had the same project done over on the Macquarie at the other school. But when I went to the Black History program, as I was saying to you, nobody's in there, and it's used for storage. And I think you shared with me is that because we haven't had no staff, and that's not on you, it's on the board. Because if somebody should be in there, there's no reason for having all this work done if you're going to not have manpower to be in there to do what needs to be done for the whole purpose of spending all this money. So it's not on you, it's on the board. But I just thought I'd bring that to the board's attention, that we need to staff someone there. Then when you get this project done, you need to staff somebody there as well. Other than that, we're defeating our purpose.
And
Thank
I'm
you.
going to state that that's not on the board, that's on the administration. I had a one-on-one with LeBaron last week, and he understands that the directive is that we need someone in every vestibule. If not, there was no reason to build them. And so I look forward for a plan for that within the next coming weeks. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
So the concept was when you're aware, you can take care. Now you're aware. Thank you.
Roll call.
Mr. McBride.
Yes.
Ms. Fabian.
Yes.
Ms. Hannah.
Yes.
Ms. Lensing.
Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes, item approved, motion carries. We're now at personnel items. So 13A, approval of substitute teacher pay rate increase.
It is a recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education approve the permanent increase in the daily pay rate for long-term and day-to-day substitute teachers.
I make a motion, a really happy motion for this item.
Second.
Second,
I
who's
wasn't sure
that?
if you were
Miss
going.
Fabian?
Miss Lindsay.
Lindsay, I thought she was going to.
All right. Any comments or questions on the motion?
This is a good thing for us to increase the sub pay and in both categories, daily subs as well as the long-term subs. You know, we see the pay in different comparisons of districts, and now hopefully we will be able to get our substitute stock back up.
And we got ahead of ourselves. Superintendent, if you can read the recommended action.
Oh, wow.
That was on me, Miss Hannah.
We correct.
I thought I read it, no?
Did you?
No,
Yeah.
not this.
I don't.
Did
She did read it, yes.
Okay.
So my comment was that
I'll
the
take a
motion does not include the pay amount that you would be raising it
I thought it was.
to. So I was
It's in
proposing, it's in the
Oh,
narrative
Yeah, but not as the
to
recommended
the,
action.
to the 250 per day, am I correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So that there be, just amend the motion to incorporate the $250 amount in it.
And
And the
also
145?
the other one for the
Yes.
day-to-day.
Or amend it as set forth in the public comment section, just so there's a link
Amended.
Yes.
between the recommended action,
Mm-hmm.
so that there, if a question comes up, what did the board approve, it will be clear.
All right, I amend my my motion to include the daily rate of the day-to-day substitutes of 145 and the long-term substitute daily rate to 250 per day.
And I second that motion
Motion.
and emotion.
Roll call.
Mr. McBride.
Yes.
Ms. Fabian.
All the time. Sorry.
Ms. Fabian.
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez.
Sorry, yes.
Mr. Riddle. Ms. Hannah.
Yes.
Ms. Lensing.
Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes, item approved, motion carries. We're now at 13B, personnel for 22724.
It is a recommendation that the Board of Education accept the administration's recommendation to approve the appointments and retirement and accept the resignations as found on schedules F1002, L949, and G660.
Make a motion to approve the item as presented.
Motion by Ms. Hannah,
Second.
second by Ms. Fabian. Any comments or questions on the motion? Roll call.
Mr. McBride.
Yes.
Ms. Fabian.
Yes.
Ms. Hannah.
Yes.
Ms. Lensing.
Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes, item approved, motion carries.
I think there's two administrators. At this time, I'd like to acknowledge Jacaro Jones, who served as a specialist of culture and climate at Edith Smith. He will now serve as the interim facilitator of restorative practice at North Elementary School with a starting salary of $57,200. Congratulations, Mr. Jones. Our second appointment is Mr. Sterling Hall, who served as an ESS, Educational Safety Specialist, at the Washington campus. He will now serve as the facilitator of Educational Safety Admin at Lincoln Center, but that means it's throughout the district. with a starting salary of $68,000. Congratulations, Mr. Hall.
Thank you, and welcome to all, and congratulations to those who are retiring. We now have financial reports. Item 16A, ratification for the second processing of February 2024 board bills, manual check request payments, and Old National Bank insurance payments for the period of February 7, 2024 through February 20th, 2024.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education ratify the second February 2024 processing of board bills, manual check request payments, and Old National Bank insurance payments for the period of February 7, 2024 through February 20th, 2024. The accounts payable board payments for the period of February 7, 2024 through February 20th, 2024 total $1,222,644.95. The manual check request payments for the period of January 17, 2024 through February 6, 2024 total $387,582.02. The National Bank insurance payments for the period of January 17, 2024 through February 6, 2024 total $1,965,958.41.
Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Ms. Fabian. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. McBride. Any comments or questions on the motion? Roll call.
Mr. McBride.
Yes.
Ms. Fabian.
Yes.
Ms. Hannah.
I pass.
Ms. Lindsay.
Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes, item approved, motion carries. All right, we are at committee reports. Are there any committee reports at this time?
Yes, I have a committee report from the Wellness Committee. We met on the 22nd of February, and at that time we discussed the vending machines, and they're looking into the energy drinks that are in the vending machines, and so looking to find out the results of that. We are going to be doing the Illinois Youth Survey this spring. That's for the middle and high schools. That has been registered for that, and we're looking in anticipation of the feedback from our students. We talked about there's some challenges for some DL parents because we don't have a closer location that some of our DL parents are having to travel into Chicago to the Lurie's Children's Hospital for services, and we're going to be talking about that. Let me just see. We talked about eyeglasses with the Lions Club. We talked about the new Illinois vaping prohibition that was put into law this recently, and we will be probably coming up with something, but our next meeting will be March 21st. That's my report.
I can go ahead with a generic one for safety. So I can't get into the details, but as we've had Alderman Victor Felix come to the podium stating that they wanted to collaborate excuse me, with the district regarding the traffic around specifically the Washington campus. There are conversations within the committee going on regarding pickups and drop-offs so that we can do so safely with our students. So as those are finalized, then we'll have more details. I just want to remind parents that in the meantime, please follow your school's protocols. They have spent time developing it, and it may not be perfect right now, but if you are following it and you are staying in your spot in line and not cutting in front of others or parking in a spot that is not intended for parking, everyone can be safe, including your student and your staff of that building. But there's going to be more to come around on that. I just wanted to give confirmation that those discussions are happening.
Yes, and I apologize. I did forget the my Illinois Literacy Coalition meeting. We were given an update on the governor's budget, and we can say hoo-hoo because he did dedicate $3 million to the literacy transformative, whatever that's going to be, okay. And there also, what was really interesting is that there was talk about the use of the ESSER money effectively, and there are going to be questions coming in the future regarding how did the districts use the ESSER money for literacy, because all of that is involved with the literacy plan, everything that's coming up with that. And there's currently 4 bills that are in the either in the Senate or the House in reference to literacy and language. They're going to be emphasizing, and I'm not real sure, I don't know all of the ins and outs, but for Black English language learners. And so that's something that that we should we're probably trying to get on top of it already with the initiative. And yeah, that's about it right now, but just wanted to kind of give you that. And we do have our literacy coalition meetings every other week unless something has come up. And I'm going to be calling on everybody, okay, now that I've learned how to do it. It's called a witness slip, and you can sign up to be a proponent of the legislation or in opposition of the legislation, and you could do it right on your phones, your computers. And so we just missed one this weekend. I did one this weekend. And I wanted to kind of get on the phone and start calling people to do this, but then I caught a glitch. And so I say, no, I got to figure that out. But anyway, in the future, I will be calling upon educators when there's legislation coming up and there's a need for our voices to be heard in the legislation. And so I will be keeping you all updated on that. That's my report.
Ms. Hannah, are you gonna, when you call, ask, can I get a witness?
Can I get a witness?
Just
Absolutely.
your opening line right there.
That's right. Can I get a witness? There you go. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Ms. Hannah. We have a couple things, right? I do know a board member has a prior commitment, so has to head out. We still do have a quorum. There were comments made about MOY data. That information is available. It's there. The board has seen it, along with it's been emailed to each of the parents and community and posted on social media. So for the sake of time, I am going to ask that we hold on that one in case there are questions that the community has. I again want to stress that everything is not nefarious or suspicious. I get that distrust exists between the board and the community. Truth of the matter is we have a lot of work to get through. It doesn't go on every agenda. If we hold things and only do it once a month waiting for a student achievement meeting, we wouldn't get anything done. We do know that this student achievement meeting particularly, we have a lot of other things that we need to talk about as well. So it's just about prioritizing. We make it very transparent. The information and the data is there and it's accessible and it's visible. We want people to know what it is. No one's hiding this information. It is what it is. It's a fact. And so the more that we talk about it, the more that we get resources in order to solve it. So I did want to make that statement. I'm going to very briefly go back because Dr. Gordon is president. He was unaware that we had moved the time up to 6. And so with that, if we can get our time clock back up for 3 minutes.
And while he's coming to the podium, just to remind the board that we do have a Lakes Division dinner next week on the 13th. And the only thing I'll ask Superintendent if you could find out if the board members are going to need transportation, and if we're going to take the bus as usual.
Thank you, Ms. Anna. All right,
Play Ghetto Bird as we roll.
Dr. Gordon, whenever you start talking, your time will begin.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you for the opportunity and the time adjustment as well, so I appreciate that. My name is Dr. Abel Gordon. I opened up Tu Pharmacy or Tu Farmacia on Grand Avenue across from Lake Lewis Fresh Market about a month ago. We are a discount pharmacy. However, we accept all forms of insurance. The reason why I'm coming today is because I was approached by a few parents and I believe somebody from one of the schools that they didn't really give us a name about students who are unfortunately some kind of list, and we can either go to the school or they could come to us, however necessary. But we have access to what they need. We just need to make sure that they get it. The other things that I would like to express is the fact that we have access to Medline. So anything we're talking about sports, injuries, we've got medical supplies, crutches, wheelchairs, all of those, we would love to become a vendor for the school system as well. So just those ideas and opportunities as we grow our business and help the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gordon.
Can we have him talk to legal, superintendent and legal.
Yeah,
in reference
I know
to
you made
this.
contact, so yeah, so they'll reach out.
Yeah, we have it.
We have all the contact information.
Okay,
Yeah, we're not making any commitments.
right.
No, and we appreciate the information as well as community businesses and wanting to be a part of the solution. So thank you. Next up is we do have a superintendent's report, which is the disproportionality. And so if there are no objections after that, we'll do board member time and then. guys will
At
be
this
done.
time, I'm going to call Dr. Bublitz, and he has some really good news, and it's something that kept Kathy and I up at nights for the past couple of years. And I'm proud of you guys, so I'm going to turn the floor over to you.
All right. I'm very excited to bring this to you, board and community and superintendent. So, as you may or may not know, but it's been, since I've been here for 5 years, a target for us with the state, and it's helped us to set goals and create action plans, as we were found to be significantly disproportionate in our eligibility for our African American students under emotional disability. And you can go ahead and switch that, Lee. And so you can see the history of the disproportionality statistics for Waukegan. Since they've been doing this, we can go back to 2016. And so what it shows you is that in 2020, I received a letter from the state following up on disproportionality. And at that time, that was my first year here, so it was the fall. It was before all the chaos of COVID. And we met with the state, and a couple of us went down, did a workshop. So as you can see, that number, 7149. And at that time, that was one of the largest percentages of disproportionality in the state. So we were tasked with a lot of work. We ran root cause analysis. We looked at our statistics and data. We looked at various areas, not just DL, right? They don't get to DL just on their own because of DL. Mm-hmm. And so, working with the state, we created a plan. We've been updating it over these years. And as you can see, this year we got a letter. I knew it was getting better, and I was confident. I did not expect this. That the state found us no longer identified as significantly disproportionate. And so I'll just give a little basics on what that means. The state threshold is 4.0. And as you can see, twice we've hit 7+. But in between those, from 2018 down, we have been decreasing. And so when you decrease by 10% for 2 consecutive years, they remove that label, right? We were close, and then we had 19 students move in 2021. That's what that number represents. So we had 20 students that were not Waukegan students originally that were placed into our district and were eligible under ED. Okay, so those are the statistics. I think it's incredibly exciting. Some of the root causes that we had looked at, literacy, right? We're talking about that tonight. So that was one of the things we found with students who were reading at much lower rates, even just with learning disabilities, than I've ever experienced. And that causes frustration, causes emotions. They don't want to be in class, etc. Other things we found is we did not have a comprehensive system of data analysis, problem solving for intervention and instruction for SEL. And I would include literacy in that as well. I mean, we all know the statistics. We were not inclusive. We've been over this many times over the years. We were at 40% in EE Code 1, the most inclusive environment, and very high in EE Code 3, which is the most restrictive. As you know, this restricts access to core instruction, scope and sequence, right, and quality behavior models, reading, etc. We didn't have a comprehensive behavior system. We didn't have frameworks for that. Like I said, we didn't have the data systems. We were working on it. So just we could put parentheses around MTSS, but we didn't have a functional behavior program within the DL department. It had been taken down. There were a few classrooms. There was no framework, right? It wasn't a functional system. So these are all root causes that when we looked at admin and principals and others in the district, that we were going to target. So there's a lot of actions that need to take place, right? And there's a lot of hard work. I can't go through all of it because it's everyone in the district. It's principals, teachers. It's my department, and right, teaching and learning and EL with curriculum maps and now literacy were really key to this. And so if you want to switch, Lee. I just want to say that nothing is in a vacuum. You can't just go and attack significant disproportionality, right? And before we go on, I want to say we are still disproportionate, right? 4.3. But we're getting better, and hopefully we can remove that label as well. There are things out of our control. We could have 10 move-in kids, right? Or whatever. But I can tell you that one of the actions were that the psychologists were looking at eligibility criteria. They were using that to drive data-driven problem solving, right? So we can get good interventions, good instruction. I talked about curriculum apps and literacy, so the district's focused on that. We created a framework for students with IEPs and behavior plans called BEST. That is not a school or a program in a school. That covers any student, whether they're in EE code 1, 2, 3, or out of district, right? We have a framework for that now. There's greater data and problem solving teams, right? We have MTS, I don't think Stephanie's here, but teaching and learning. We've collaborated with them. We've held social work and psychs meetings with MTSS teams. We're working on Branching Mind Handbook. We continue to collaborate because DL staff are very much a part of those teams. You can't really separate them on the front lines. And so when you look at that, there's a lot of things that happen. And I think there's some correlations and then celebrations, right? This year, and I'm going to preface it, they're not where we want to be, but diverse learner reading scores on IAR are the highest they've ever been. Waukegan Public Schools are historically more inclusive than ever. The BEST framework is fully implemented for students with IEPs and BIPs. And district outplacements have decreased while dual enrollments have increased. That means when we are transitioning students back from therapeutic day schools. And within that, there's a detail that's hard to see. There are fewer Waukegan students, they're all Waukegan students who started here that we placed out than before. So I think the beginning there was 51, which is a decrease. It's now 48 as those dual enrollments increase. We still struggle with the kids who come in. We can't control that, but we take care of them all the same, and the goals are the same. And so I'm really proud of my team. Some are here. I'm proud of the district, my colleagues, I'm really proud of the frontline folks, principals and psychs, social workers, staff, that we're able to do all of this. I don't think any one of those things happens without the others. I don't think we reduce significant disproportionality if we're not inclusive, if we're not teaching kids to read, if we're not making good data-driven decisions on and problem-solving teams. So, just it's exciting for us. I was on cloud 9. Superintendent called me. It was really a great day. So, thank you to all of your support, the community, my team especially, and everybody who's done that. This is a huge day. We're not there, but we turned the corner. Thank you.
Go ahead, Ms. Anna.
Okay, I'm glad that you are happy. And I don't mean to put any a drizzle. I won't say rain. I'll say drizzle. Okay, into this, but can you tell me why the schools, our elementary schools, are no longer having any of the DL classes in their buildings? And I understand about inclusion, but I don't understand inclusion without support and without the collaboration of the principals, the staff, in determining whether a student is a good fit for inclusion. And that's my problem with all of this. And I've heard around the district, okay, the pros and the cons. And I'm more concerned with the fact that we are decreasing DL students, but we are, well, not even DL students, we're increasing inclusion, and they're going into gen ed classrooms, but they are problematic because there's no resources, there's no resource classrooms that should be in place for students that are being that we're including into gen ed, and they're not given the proper resources. And you just said it, okay, that you know there's we're not there yet, and so we're not there yet in terms of properly placing DL students in gen ed classrooms without the proper resources that goes right along with them. And so that's my issue with this. And yeah, we can celebrate, okay, but we also need to assess, Superintendent, the voices of our school principals and people to make sure that we're doing the right thing and not compounding the kids' issues, because they can be put in a gen ed classroom and they're causing a lot of issues, if you will, because they're not acclimated into being included, and then all of a sudden they're thrust in there without the resources, and you're harming children more than
I'm
you
gonna
are.
I'm gonna stop right now.
No,
Number
you
one,
can't
it's not.
stop me, but
Well, you're othering disabled children by saying they don't belong,
no, I'm not.
and you're saying that I'm harming children. We have the data.
The data is
Data doesn't count.
numbers.
Okay.
No, well, I'm
Dr.
talking about
Bublitz,
children.
at this time, Dr. Bublitz, I'm
And
going to
I-
ask,
and-
congratulations on your report. Ms. Hannah will get your questions answered. Let's just diffuse the situation right now, if that's okay, Board President.
Yeah, so the point is there are
Not
concerns.
confusing. Look, I'm saying fact, and whether you like it or not, Miss Dr. Bublitz, it is factual. I hear from people, I hear from principals that has literally told me that they have to accept the students even though they are misplaced. And my question, Superintendent, is have we collaborated and talked with the schools to make sure the kids are properly placed? Look, I love inclusion.
Yeah, so I can let you ask me a question. So students can't just be placed anywhere. They have to be placed by an IEP, and there's a team that creates and writes the IEP
I am
along,
aware.
hopefully,
But
with
I
the parent guardian at the table. So this is not done in isolation of one person, Teresa Placencia or
No, I
President
know that,
Ewing.
Superintendent.
It's a collaboration of many. I do want to say that I can respect that you may have concerns. I think it's the generalization of the topic that
Okay,
becomes the tense situation that
and
we're seeing now.
Okay, and I will say that I am just repeating, Superintendent, what I have been being told, and their staff, their administrators, and they're the ones that are having the issues with the kids, not me.
Not,
I'm just.
I hear you. And Dr. Cesario is back there along with Amanda Patty. I thought I seen Clarence. They work very closely with their principals. If there was concerns, they would bring that up at their ASAP meetings. That's the academic meetings, team meetings that they
Maybe
hold
they
weekly. And so
And
our
for you
associate.
looking at me like that, you're out of order.
So, Ms. Hannah, this is the.
Can you repeat that, Ms. Hannah? I didn't hear
No,
it.
she can't, and we
Okay.
shouldn't. Dr. Bublitz, thank you for the presentation. Ms. Linsing, I know you had a question and you had your hand up.
You're gonna ask?
Go ahead. No,
No,
I
no,
mean,
you.
my
If
question.
you want me to hold, I'll hold. And I'm not trying to. I understand, and I'm reading the room, so I am willing to comply.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. McBride,
Well, it's kind of
and then Ms. Linsing, I'll come back to you.
it's kind of relating to the situation that Ms. Hannah's talking about. But I think I've talked to you about this before. How when we removed students, I think me and you had the topic about when you remove students, bringing them back, because I said to you sometime it do more harm when you take them away and they don't come back. And the reason because of the fact the kids they grew up with, they lose that. As well as they don't get a chance to play any sports anymore. All those things that's to me is important to a kid when he's trying to develop. All those things goes along with his personality. And I think I shared with you a lot of times when they move on to places like Connection, Des Plaines, and those areas, they run into kids where they get excited about their behavior. And some of their behavior is different than what our district have. And sometimes I said to you, I say sometimes we can make things worse than they were before they even left. You remember we had that conversation?
Yes.
And so I'm kind of confused now, but I do know that that we got to get them back some kind of way because of the fact once they lose that connection, that's not a good thing. So and I'm pleased to see that you are trying to make headways and do things the right for our better kids. I don't want to take that away from you. And I know, like you said, we still got a long work ahead of us. But I just wanted you to be mindful of that when we do start outsourcing. Those kind of things can mess a kid up too. And I'm saying that because of the fact my grandson was part of what we're speaking about right now. And I know some of those things he missed didn't help him none. But at the same time, I also too would be remiss saying something had to happen because it just wasn't working right with him being in the building doing the things that he was doing, the challenges that he had. And I can say that along with sending him to Des Plaines to the outsource, some of the behavior helped. I can't say that, but for the most part, I think he got excited about some of the stuff that he never seen before that he probably never would have seen if he went. So, and I know at some point you're looking at, hopefully at some point, instead of sending them away, keeping them here and doing what we need to do as a district. But anyway, I just want to say congratulations and thank you for the moves that you have made, because we have made some headways. I can see that just by some of the things that you've been doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McBride.
And Dr. Bublitz, I just want to thank your team. I see a few teachers in here. I see some instructional coaches, and we have a number of gaps as a district that we're working towards. This is improvement in an area. The data is there, and I know you guys worked very hard strategically to close this gap. And so that should not go unrecognized, or not should it be remiss and everything else. And behind you is a number of teachers, a number of principals that are doing the work. And so this is to me, this is great news for Waukegan Public Schools, and we look to completely close that gap that we're not on this list. And I know you guys are working really hard on that. But for me, it's even more exciting with our Black Male Achievement Initiative. And this directly ties to our African American students in our district that we know that we were disproportionately deserving. I'm going to say deserving. And so thank you for the data. And I want to thank the teachers that are here tonight that also work directly with our students. So kudos to your team on this. Keep up the good work, and let's completely close that gap. I know we could do it.
Thank you. We continue.
Ms. Lindsay.
Apologies, Board President, if I said anything out of line. I think what often happens with this population is there's a communication disconnect. It is a passion for many people, and so sometimes we are hearing it with a lens that is not the intended lens. So with this situation, what I'm hearing as a parent from other parents, what Board Member Hannah is hearing from some of the principals, it's not that inclusion is a bad thing.
Right.
I was trained in inclusion, and it's great for a lot of our students to be in inclusion. The concern is we don't see that it was strategically done where everyone was supported, so every stakeholder group was supported along the way. We've had some parents that decided, yes, I want my kid to be in gen ed, and because they didn't have the smaller learning groups that were needed to address some of their concerns, there were some behavioral components and decisions that they made that led them down a certain route that we're trying to avoid. I've had students tell me that there are other kids in their room throwing chairs, right? And so it's a fine balance. And so I think what we're just wanting to confirm is that if the decision was made, and maybe it was a rushed decision, principals or other staff are able to bring that to someone's attention so it can be reevaluated. That's the main concern. Not to say that we don't want these students in our classroom. We just want that reassurance because we're getting a different side of things, and so the picture's not matching up, and we're trying to figure out what's really going on.
Yeah. And that's fair, Ms. Lindsay, and I believe when Dr. Bubbles, if I'm speaking out of turn, you can please help me. But I do know when this concern came up for the board, Dr. Bublitz did go out on a listening and learning turn. They went back, looked at their PD plan. I mean, so that was, I'm not saying that was last year, but I know that they did that work. That doesn't mean it stops, right? But they did hear what the board's concern was, and I know that Dr. Cesario worked directly with Dr. B to go back and look at how we could better support, or how we could go back and I'm going to use the word recheck boxes that maybe someone didn't feel we checked accurately or enough, right? So they did do that work, and the PD plan for the inclusion, along with the movement toward inclusion, it's going to have to be, it's cyclical. It's going to constantly having to be reviewed, etc. And add more support. Maybe put it here 1 year. Maybe it needs to be someplace else. It just depends on where the staff, everybody delivering that is, and what they need, and what the need is for them. This presentation, though, even though it is inclusion, is, you know, I don't want to. They're two important topics, and it's not either A or B. They do go together. I think what you're hearing from the board is to continue to look at your plans of inclusion to ensure that you're still getting voice and feedback from all the stakeholders within the district, to continue to refine practices and to continue to support your educators where they need it in that endeavor. And I think that's what you're hearing from the board here now. Not speaking for the board, but that's what I'm taking from it. And so, Dr. B, I know you continue to do that, but please stay abreast on that. And we will update the board more on what we're seeing now, or what are the trends, you know, what's going on for there.
Yep.
Sorry, I had two additional pieces. I just wanted to kind of reset the climate on that one. So it's great that the reading scores on IR are the highest they've ever been. So what are the strategies that were used with these students that we could possibly look to include with the general curriculum?
There's a lot. Like I said, one of the things you have to do is have access to that curriculum, which we were not getting access for most of our kids. The majority of our kids were not getting access to the general ed curriculum, so that's one thing. Obviously, we're working with teaching and learning to make sure that that curriculum is strong, that it's viable, and that we are reaching all of our students equally for the Tier 1. We've put a significant amount of time, money, and effort in professional development under Orton Gillingham. Teaching and learning also is. We're doing this together, but we're providing that for DL teachers. Like I said, we have a full framework for behavior to address that. I want to clarify that we're not getting rid of special ed rooms. There are special ed rooms across the district, and if students need something like small group or whatever that may be, we support that. We get that, right? So those things all continue. We continue to work with all of our colleagues as well as on our own to provide support, to provide PD, coaching, mentoring at the school level or district level for whatever that is, whether it's supporting teaching and learning in the academic piece, helping our students in a more of a resource model, which is kind of where we're trying to go, or behaviorally. So, you know, there's a lot of different actions that take place, but the key piece right now is making sure we have that viable curriculum in Tier 1 and getting students there. And we are working on the resource piece as well.
Okay, so I just want to make sure that it's essentially very similar curriculum that we're going to be rolling out to our neurotypical or general education classroom students. So I'm just pointing out for the community that it can be more difficult working with neurodivergent students to increase those scores. So to see growth in this population is a good indication for this program for more neurotypical kids. So if that's been like the main piece, is just getting them access to that curriculum, then we should see some really good results for our gen ed population.
Yeah, and I think that's a really important point, so thank you for that. And our low incidence kids in the STEP program, they have access to the core curriculum. Now, some of them that have different needs, we've been trying to flesh out a better model where we have, it's still standards-based. I don't want to get into all the DLM stuff, but it's standards-based. It's different level learning, more kindergarten and lower. But we didn't have a curriculum before. We had Unique, which is a nice tool. But like tonight, we just added Touch Math, right? We're trying to build a robust option for the different learners. You said neurotypical.
Yeah.
Touch Math might work for some.
Yeah.
Right? A regular curriculum might work for some kids in low incidence or not. And so we continue to look at that. So that's a really great point, and appreciate that. So we are looking to continue to expand that while tying it to the curriculum. So.
Okay, and then I just had one final question. Can you help us understand dual enrollment in this context? Because I believe we have two different types of dual enrollment, so we want to make sure we're clear with the community on which one we're talking about.
Yeah, no problem. I'm sorry. It's just,
no, it's totally fine.
So it's not up there. It doesn't matter. So when we have so any student may receive education elsewhere, home, at a private school, wherever that is, and dually enroll in the district, right? It's a similar concept. However, we are providing them, so if I am at a therapeutic day school because I'm ED or autistic or whatever, and my behavior is such that I can't be in the home school. However, as we work, and to Mr. McBride's point, we're not going to just bring people back, right?
Yep.
We want to transition them back. So as my behavior decreases and I'm able to generalize those skills and learn and grow, in this case we're more functional or behavioral, as they increase those skills, we can start doing dual enrollment. So I might come every Friday afternoon to be with my peers. I might come every afternoon. I'm really good at math and I love art. I might just come for art and math, right? So that's the dual enrollment where they're still getting that therapeutic piece at the day school, but they're coming back and they're trying to use this with their strengths to generalize those skills now in the home school, which may be a special ed room, it may be gen ed with support, it depends on the kid, right? So that's what we are talking about with dual enrollment. So that's when we hopefully see a decrease in our outplacements. We're down a little, but people keep moving in, so.
Yeah, and just to expand on that, to further Ms. McBride's point, students who are either in outplacement or in dual enrollment, they still have access to joining, from what I understand, our clubs and our sports to get those social pieces added, just as like a homeschool student in our district would.
Yes, we do. I'm thinking of someone who I will not name who is doing that. They have access to football team or whatever clubs they want. If we can work it out, there is a box in the IP where we don't want somebody who is not able to participate without throwing the monopoly board
why
across
it's
the room
an
and hitting
IEP.
people, right?
Mhm.
So we do have that option based on the IEP team.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that was clear
Of
as well.
course,
for you,
yeah.
Mr. McBride.
Thank you.
Oh, I appreciate it. And as we talked about, this is a subject in which multiple people are passionate about, and I appreciate the call out for as we also gain our own understanding and better knowledge around this topic, right? It's important. So I want to call out the upcoming conferences, is that what we're calling it, for the DL department students or parents of, I don't know, about FACE is conducting those. Yeah. So the more that we can make sure that people understand the why behind it, the more that we can continue to have this conversation, the more that we can learn to work together and struggle through some of the difficult points, right, is because it is new for the district. And as we all know, anytime there's something that is new, that means that it takes time and that people have questions. And so now that we know questions should be directed to who, Superintendent, if there are questions or concerns, is it Deputy Cesario, is it the
In
area
regards
superintendents?
To inclusion or
No. So Ms. Hannah and Ms. Lindsay both brought up
Yeah.
the fact that parents are
Oh,
reaching out
yes,
to
yes.
them about concerns. Who should they be directing those to? This
Dr. Bublitz, please don't take this disrespectfully. Just send them to Dr. Cesario, and he will work on them personally. That'll give you the person a buffer and yourself also. So we'll direct them to Dr. Cesario.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. With that, can we go back on the agenda? Scroll all the way down. So Board of Ed, we will do board member time. We do need to go into closed session. It's only 4 of us, so it'll take a very short amount of time. But with that, I'm going to start with you, Mr. McBride.
Well, should I bring that at this appropriate time to bring that up in reference to the conference?
You could let them know that you want to go, but we can't take action on it this evening because it wasn't posted.
Okay. Well, just for transparent to the public and as also to my fellow board members, there was a conference that was brought up earlier with student outreach, and that conference was in reference to pretty much what we just got done talking to now, conflict resolution, dealing with issues and behavior of our students. And that's a conference that I'm going to be asking to go to with that team. That's because of the fact whenever we have expulsions and suspensions, I'm always called to ask to give my opinion as what direction we should go with the kid. And I'm limited to information, but if I get information from other districts on from issues that they have with their students and whatnot, it may work for our students. So, but I will not know if I don't go. So I am asking the board at this particular time that making a recommendation that I'd like to attend that conference for those purposes. Now, for me, sitting on this board, that's always been an issue for me, sitting here doing everything I can to get a kid across the bridge and over the hump. And whatever information I can get and gather from wherever I can get it from, that's what I'm going to do. Whether it be the church house, whether it be the conference, wherever I can get it from, I'm going to get it. I'm going to try to receive the information to better our students. So with that, I pass.
Thank you, Mr. McBride. Ms. Hannah.
I've been doing a lot of little things here. I did some reading for the preschool students. I read to the 4th and 5th graders at Clark. The Glenwood Black History program was outstanding, and I attended the Black History program with Sylvia England at Miguel Juarez, and at the Washington Elementary. I had the best fun. I helped pass out lunches to I don't know how many students were over there, but they lifted my spirits up a lot. And just want to say thank you to the principals that extended those invitations. And I know there were there were other schools that had programs for Black History, and I'm asking for next year that the Board of Education get the specific program dates and times, maybe like in just one calendar, so that we will be able to know what is going on, because there were a number of the programs that I found out about after the fact, and so I'd like for us to hopefully be able to get a list, but actually for all of the programs that come up, Hispanic Heritage Month, all of the different activities that are going on. Also, I'd like to thank Mr. Moulton for repairing the roadway that leads into Robbie Lightfoot. Thank you so very much. But I also have to give a young lady that helped me when I kept getting the runaround from between the city, the school district, the county, everybody, and nobody knew who owned that little roadway. And so in doing my research, I found out, and I did pass the information on to Mr. Moulton, but I would just like to give a shout out to Stephanie Castro at the Lake County assessment, but they're called Lake County the Mapping Department, and they were the ones. I worked with her for a couple days, and she actually came back with who the actual owner of that roadway is. And Mr. Moulton is doing his due diligence to get it taken care of on his end, but in the interim, he took and he was able to go up there and to patch them those horrible that street, and people's cars and stuff were getting damaged.
Who's the owner, Miss Anna?
The Armory Rehab. It's basically I'm gonna say Army Rehab military, but they've been here in Waukegan forever, and so Superintendent Mr. Moulton, we're going to be talking with them to get that roadway fixed permanently, And let me just say, wait a minute, and I'd like to thank Evanda Fulton for the college and career throws.
Yes.
That she gave us. They are actually beautiful.
I love it.
And also the beautiful hand towel.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'd like to thank her for that. And I also want us to put back on the agenda, because we never talked about it as a board, and that was the vaping prohibition that we were going to talk about, and we never did. And so I'm asking that we get that probably on the student achievement agenda, so that we don't have to bog down the agenda for our business meeting.
And with that, if I'll remembering if there's specific questions, because we had it on the agenda, and so if you have specific questions to help the administration prepare for the presentation, that may be the most helpful. Okay, Ms. Lindsay.
Thank you, Board President. So just a really quick follow-up with regard to contracts. If we can also make sure that when we're looking at professional development, it's not just accounting for any external out-of-district development, but any internal development they are participating. So even SIP meetings or things that are going on with the building, I just want to make sure that's covered as well.
And sorry, just for clarity, that's related to those that are contractors.
Yes, because within district, thank you for the clarification, within district it is a requirement. But I just want to make sure that contractors, it's also built in, because if we're going to fully serve our students, we need to know the full wraparound compass of that. Like Ms. Hannah, I was also able to join several Black History Month events. So got to read at Clark, attended the very early session for Miss Sylvia England. The Black History Month Gala at the Genesee Theater was amazing, and I know we did kudos before, but I just can't praise enough Miss Norman and her team, Miss Allaire and Miss Ashley. I'm sorry, I don't remember your last name. That's on me. But it was great. It was a wonderful celebration of students, and just the joy on everyone's face was very, very emotional. Other events was Oakdale invited me for the Ambassador Amazing Shake, and so seeing students participate in that again was great. The confidence they exuded was beautiful. And then as a community event, I went to the Rosalind Franklin community event. Essentially, medical students met with community members in North Chicago to discuss some of the aspects of, as you're going into being a healthcare provider, some things to be aware of. I was very focused on bias and not projecting that onto your patients, and then how to handle it when it's projected on our medical care providers as well. I do want to acknowledge that as a community, we have lost several children recently, and that has been very heartbreaking. There have been instances where there was an attempt, but it was unsuccessful, and so I'm thankful for that, and I'm hoping those students get what they need. But I think as a community, we need to start coming together and talking about how we can make sure our young children aren't led to these decisions. I've never in my life seen it so young, and so it's very shocking for me. Sorry. To end on a positive note, I was sent information regarding Miss Molly Wilson, who was formerly Melissa or Molly Hunter. She is a Waukegan graduate. She is a celebrated Grammy nominee producer and industry exec who worked with icons like Whitney Houston, Chris Brown, which I have my opinions on that, Drake, Lenny Kravitz, Usher, Carly Simon, Missy Elliott. So this is just some of the talent coming out of Waukegan, and I think it's something that we want to continue to praise and promote, that she was a bulldog and she's out there doing great things, and we want to make sure we're having that future supported for all of our students.
Absolutely.
So just go ahead.
I apologize. One more thing. So the Waukegan Public Library, on March 8th from 4 to 5:30, they're inviting everyone for a loteria. March 8th, 4 to 5:30. It's a game. There will be little prizes for kids. They're also hosting some yoga classes. So Mondays 6 to 7, Fridays 10:15 to 11:15, and they're also doing free Spanish classes. So if you haven't checked out some of the activities that the Waukegan Library is putting on, please do. There's a lot of great stuff going on there.
So I'll be brief. Just a reminder, Board of Education, we do have a special meeting tomorrow. It's only closed session. So do come. I want to thank everybody for coming out. I want to thank the Board of Education as well as our staff members. Doing this work is not easy. Emotions definitely get high, even from the community comments and the different things. What I will want to remind those who, what I want to do is speak for the board in that while this is something that we are all very, very passionate about, always remember that at the end of the day, these board members give time, talent and treasure to do what is a unpaid position because of the love that they have for the community and the success and support that they want to see of our students be successful. And so as we continue, I do want to just make sure that we all keep in mind is that respect is a two-way street, and as we engage in interactions with one another, that camera is rolling and our students are watching. And so as we want to make sure as a board, as staff, as community members to board to community, all one another, is that we are leading by example. And so I appreciate everybody's commitment, and I look forward to working together, as Ms. Lindsay said, because unfortunately it's not hyperbole, it's a matter of life and death. Right, and that is something that always keeps me up at night as a board member, is how do the decisions that I make actually impact individual lives? How do the decisions that you make as educators and administrators impact individual student lives? How do the decisions that you make as community members impact our students' lives, right? We heard from Mr. Edwards about the fact that there were shootings and different things going on. To end on a positive note, we had, I made just a quick post because we always talk about what resources don't exist and what different community organizations are not doing. And it just asks, do you know any program or organizations that support or work with youth in our Tri-City area? In a matter of less than an hour, there were over 59 organizations, right? And so as I compile that list and pass it on to our FACE department, I again stand committed to working with the entire community. What that looks like may vary from organization to organization, but there is no favoritism. I'm willing to work with and support those who work with and support our students. That has been a commitment of mine since I started. It'll be a commitment of mine going through, something that has quite frankly got me in trouble. And I'm okay with standing up for those who stand up for our students. So with that, I'd like a motion to adjourn. Motion by Mr. McBride, second by Ms. Lindsay. All in favor signify with aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you and see you tomorrow.